let's turn the tables now and analyze the show that we are at, Wealth Makers in Toronto. They say this is the event for entrepreneurs who want to up-level their businesses and need to create a plan for growth, for legacy, even an exit strategy. And joining us now, live on location, is Heather Reid of Heather Reid Consulting. Now, hosting live events is what you do.
Yes.
So tell us how that plays into a business and how you became connected with Wealth Makers.
I have been in business for 20 years. I am an accidental planner, like a lot of women my age that are in the industry now. We came into this through other means. We had other interests and fell into the planning aspect. And now, of course, you can go to school and have diplomas and graduate programs in event management. But I came in 20 years ago. Before that was before I knew it was an industry. So I've been planning conferences like this Wealth Makers event. So I focus on multi-day national conferences for not-for-profit. So my clients are mostly educational in origin. So I have nurses groups, OT groups, things like that. So they're professional bodies that get together once a year to have their annual conference. But I'm here at Wealth Makers because I am a coaching client of Pat Misuse. So.
Yes. But you're saying that, I think 20 years ago, groups didn't have so many live events where people come together. Now we see them all over the place. Is this really a great tool for growing a business, monetizing a business?
Absolutely. Actually, speaking in a live event is absolutely probably the fastest way to grow your business. It trumps probably email, and because you give that like, know, and trust factor that you build with public speaking. But my aspect is behind the scenes and what does it take to bring together a 3-day live event?
I have no idea because I can't even organize one day of my own life. It's what kind of skill does it take to do that?
I would say there's a lot of different skills. There's organizational skills, absolutely top notch. You need to love paying attention to detail. You need to be very strategic in your thinking. So truly, what is the big picture, but be able to take it down to the smallest detail as well. You need to be open to having a team around you because this is something that you cannot do alone. You can head this sort of, like I head events as a team, but I have to have a team on the ground. And I think you have to be flexible, even though it's in my nature to be very rigid and very black and white. To excel at it, you have to be flexible. You have to roll with the punches. So here at Pat's event, one of the set of lights went out that was, on her for lighting purposes, and you just have to roll with it. And that's what happens at live events: is the unexpected.
Now, before we started the show, we were chatting, and you said that you stalked her for a while.
Yes,
so I did. You were kind of a little bit hesitant about having a coach.
Yes.
And then you signed up, and it's made a huge difference in your business.
Yes.
Tell our listeners what that is, because I think many people feel they know their business better. They don't really want somebody else to tell them how to do it.
And Pat doesn't tell me how to do my job. What Pat instructs me and coaches me in is how to build the business aspect of what I'm doing. So she doesn't know that, well, she actually knows about the event planning because she hosts her own event. So she has a glimpse into what goes into my kind of role. But what Pat does is bring the bigger, how to be a business owner, how to be business savvy, how to grow your business. And yes, I was in business for 18 years prior to signing on with Pat, and I watched Pat from a distance. I read everything she wrote. I listened to interviews. I attended some of her half-day workshops. But truly, when I made the decision to coach with her, I was putting my own money where my mouth was. I finally said, this Heather Reid Consulting, which is a second division of my business, I had been talking about for years, but it was through Pat that said, get up and get doing it. Either stop talking about it or go do it. And I needed that kick to say, okay, I don't want to work harder for the next 15 years. I want to work smarter. And so the consulting aspect is something that I had dreamed about doing, and I'm now doing 2 years later. So.
Now, one of the big things that you're big on is contracts.
Yes.
Everything contracts is highlighted in quotes here. Explain to us what you mean by that.
Okay, so first of all, my biggest disclaimer is I'm not a lawyer and I will never pretend to be a lawyer. I do not give legal advice to anyone that I consult with. That is a skill set that is entirely out of my realm. What I do with contracts, and I love reading them, which I have discovered is a very bizarre, but I like to think of it as a unique skill set, that I love reading the fine print. And 99% of planners and people that are hosting live events do not enjoy that part of the job.
No.
And so I love getting in between and sorting out what suits, what is best for the client. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, a supplier such as a venue or a audiovisual provider or a speaker, their contract is set up to protect them. It's not necessarily set up to protect the client, the person that is purchasing the services. And so as my job as a meeting planner, I have learned what is acceptable to ask for, what is available to ask for, how you can protect your client. And so I'm taking that skill set I've learned over 20 years and now helping others that don't enjoy this aspect to review their contracts. So they will forward to me when they negotiate their they've taken it as far as they can, then I will come in and say, okay, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Oh, look, they're asking. I actually looked at a contract that said that the girl was refunding the non-refundable deposit. And I'm like, okay, have you really looked at the wording and really dissect it word by word by word? And there are a lot of cases where you can get yourself into huge risk if you're a host of a live event or if you're a speaker and your contract is one-sided. There are financial implications that are huge. And I know for my clients, they didn't have deep pockets to be sued. And I felt it really personally that I needed to learn how to protect my client and then take it to a lawyer for review and the final check. But that lawyer doesn't have my skill set as a meeting planner to look at all of the logistics and all of the angles that I look at. The lawyer is looking at risk. So that's a long-winded story, but that's why I love contracts.
So what would be one of the main things that people don't consider when they're going into this?
I think they don't consider risk serious enough. So you're signing on for financial risk, you're signing on for reputation risk if things don't go according to plan. And we're the ones that look at the worst case scenario. We're planning for risk. And truly, if it's a one-sided contract, you could lose your business. You could lose your reputation. You could lose goodwill with your potential clientele. And that's really, really important to me is how can you protect yourself and then take it for legal review.
So people that are trying to, get out there, do a live event
Yes.
in a conference center, in a hotel, they come to you and you help them organize everything. But what if they're trying to raise awareness of the event? Do you just work on the event, or do you help them with the social media, with the aspect of that?
No, my target is very niche. I have very narrow focus. I want to be one tool in your tool belt. So my event planning business does the multi-day national conferences, and that's where we focus. But the consulting aspect is more about a one-on-one relationship when you are going to sign. So I don't get into the social media I know people that can, and I can help you with that, but my real interest is just being that one step between making the decision to host a live event and actually signing the contract. Well, actually 2 steps, me and then a lawyer, and then signing the contract. So it's bringing, and a lot of groups, in fact, don't hire professional help. A lot of fundraisers, a lot of events are held by people that it's part of their job to organize, and they don't have an actual professional trainer or planner, and so if you don't have that expertise, then I really am that bridge between. I can give you that seasoned perspective and send you on your way in a much better condition than you would have been, not knowing what you don't know and what to ask for.
Do some people even put on live events without contracts?
I'm sure there are. I have not run across them, but, and I wouldn't want them as clients.
Oh.
But Yeah.
I guess in this world, you absolutely have to have a contract when you're doing business for everything.
It's business.
Business.
Absolutely, it's business. And even a charity fundraiser is a business proposition.
Absolutely.
It has to be treated like a business. And some of those events that you see that are fundraisers, they have $250,000 budgets that are coming in and coming out. And if you haven't considered insurance and you haven't considered force majeure, what if the building wasn't available for the night of you've lost all your money? Like, there are so many different aspects that, just as simple as...
down at the Harbour Castle Weston, they've got water pouring through the ceilings and they're emptying the top 5 floors or something of the hotel.
Absolutely, and that is beyond the control of a client and the venue for that. But I hope those clients that are in-house over those few days have a very, very good force majeure clause, because it should be protecting them, that they're not losing financially, goodwill, all of that, by not having a strong clause in their contract that protects them against something that happens like that.
All right, so Heather Reid Consulting.
Yes.
How can people get in touch with you?
I have a website, Heather Reid, which is reid.ca, and I'm on Twitter at Planner Reid, REID. And I'm a phone call away, 519-652-0364, and I would love to connect with anyone that, when you're ready for that kind of a service, I would love to be your go-to person.
Click the channel subscribe button for full-length interviews and more from What She Said here on YouTube.